Hello everyone, my name is Jen, and welcome to the Book Refuge. And welcome to another Taboo book recommendations, and today we have wine. Because we are going to be doing daddy kink, or what is also called age play, or what is also called a little bit taboo of the fun times. Well, let's get right into it. So, first off, no kink shaming is allowed. If you have anything nasty to say about these, you can boot it. This is a series that I do on my channel because I enjoy some taboo reads, and every once in a while I try to do a recommendation that is specific to a kink or a fun time or something extra taboo, because it is very hard to find those recommendations. Usually there is only Goodreads lists, if that. Now TikTok is helping the word to get out, but it's still not as, it's not easy to find the specific things we like, and you usually kind of just stumble upon it when it happens. So I do have 10 recommendations for this. I do want to premise it with some of these books I remember better than others. Not every single one of these that I'm recommending was a 5-star read for me. I'll tell you which ones are, just because daddy kink can very easily go wrong. And some people, when they're reading it, they don't need it to go right. You just want to read it for the experience. You like daddy to get thrown around, and that's just fine, right? So that's why I am just going to tell you what I remember about these ones. I will tell you if it's a favorite, but yeah. So we're gonna dive into it. We're actually gonna start with the most recent one that I've read, because I was surprised that it was a daddy kink was happening in this one. I did not know it was going to, and I was very excited about it. And so that's actually the Bratva's Heir by Jane Henry and Sophie Lark. Sorry, my ring light's gonna make Constantine extra shiny. So this is part of the Underworld Kings universe. They're not really connected. They're more so just like called the Underworld Kings. There are a few places where it connects, but you can absolutely read this as a standalone. There's total going to be about like 20 books that come out that are connected in this world. They are currently coming out right now. There's only about like 8 of them out right now. So this one is a prison break situation. So we have our hero, whose name is Constantine, and he's been in prison for the past few years, accused and convicted of killing his fiance. There is this, I think she's kind of a student type thing, but there's a psychiatrist. Her name is Claire, who is sent to kind of evaluate him to see if he can be rehabilitated, to see if he shows any remorse for what he's done. And they immediately end up in this like power game with these interviews that they have. And it's not much of a spoiler that this is a prison break. It happens pretty early on in the book. And Constantine also finds out that she is a daughter of an enemy of his, the man who actually is the reason why he's in prison. And so he decides when he escapes to take her with him and to use her. And I mean, he thinks to abuse her, but he gets just as tangled up with her as she does with him, and daddy gets thrown around quite frequently. There's also some spanking and some punishments that are not too shabby. So this is one I really loved. I gave this 5 stars. I actually read it a couple times already since it's come out, and I really loved it. But also it's a Sophie Lark, so what do you expect? I'm a stan. Never hid my stan-ness for her. Shocker. Alright, now, next I have a book that isn't out yet. I'm sorry. But it will be out December 1st. And I just wanted to put it on your radar. Drum up some hype for it. It's called Deviant Hacker. It's going to be book 9 in the Mafia Wars, which is actually right back there by my sweet friend Maggie Cole, who was kind enough to let me read an arc of this, and I was very excited. And this is an age gap daddy kink book, and we have our heroine, who is I think she's only 22 or 23. She's actually, I think, the youngest heroine in the series, because most of the heroines in this series are like over 30, which is kind of great. But she is a hacker, and she ends up hacking into some things that have to do with the O'Malleys, some things that she shouldn't do, and Declan ends up catching her. And Declan ends up deciding to be her daddy. She ends up liking that he wants to be her daddy. And Daddy Declan, he does not disappoint. That's all I'll say. Maggie Cole knows how to do her spicy time, and I have to say that that book is probably the dirtiest one in the series. It just might be. It just might be. It's delightful. Then we have Daddy Issues by Mia Clarke. And this is one I don't remember too well because it's a bit shorter of a book. But I believe with this one we have our hero who's in his like late 20s, and he has been taking care of his younger sister since their parents died for the last few years. And his younger sister, who is like 17, she has a best friend. And this is a relationship, a forbidden relationship between him and his sister's best friend. So this is best friend's older brother, and then some daddy stuff gets introduced, as you would guess, with the Daddy Issues title that it has. So this was fun. This was spicy. Not my favorite one on this list, but it'll get the job done, if you know what I mean. I need to stop winking while we're doing this. I'm sorry, but you know, whenever I do these taboo recs, I just don't know what to do with my face. So, and I'm drinking a little bit, so don't mind me. It's happening. All right. Then we have Forbidden Daddy by Kelly Myers. This one's actually a neighbor / landlord romance. We have our heroine who I believe is in college, and she's staying in like one of the, like, it's like that setup where like it's a duplex and he owns the whole thing and then he rents out half of it. And so he's her landlord / like handyman when things go wrong. And he's thought she was cute the whole time she's lived there, but when she has something break, there's a situation where he ends up kind of ordering her around because she like is gonna hurt herself by something, and he like barks at her, and she gets like super turned on by him telling her what to do, and they end up entering this where they end up testing out some of her sexual fantasies, and it's pretty cute. This one is also a surprise baby, so it's like a double entendre that it's called Daddy, Forbidden Daddy. Okay, so there we go. Then we have a bit of a deeper emotional one here, and that is For Her Own Good by Tamsen Parker. So this one, even more so than just like Daddy Kink, this one has DGLG play in it, age play, which if you don't know, that's Daddy Dom Little Girl play. So our heroine actually likes to, you know, she has a certain age that she likes to act when she is playing. We do have another one of these on my list, but this one, it's very emotional about it because it's even more taboo than that when she was a teenager, our hero was actually her therapist, and they both kind of had a thing for each other when he was her therapist, but he didn't do anything with it. But he actually had to leave, and it caused her to kind of have a relapse with her mental health. This also has self-harm in it, so please know that. And so he like moves away and is like, I have to do what's best for both of us. Like, you can't be fixating on me. You're not going to get better if I stay here. So he leaves. And now it's been, I think, like 15 years maybe. It's a long time. And he's back in her life. And he discovers that a lot of the feelings that he's had for her, which did kind of tend towards like, he just wanted to be really careful because he does have like dominating kink where he wanted to be in charge of her. So that's another reason why he removed himself, because he's like, I don't want to push this on to someone who's like mentally unstable. And then when he comes back all these years later and they're back in each other's lives, he realizes that she's into DGLG play, and she may be asking him to try being her daddy. So this one, as I said, is very emotional because there is a lot of mental health that goes into this, and there's a lot of layers to their relationship. Tamsen Parker, she really does an amazing job with those kind of situations. So this was one of the first ones I read that was more than just like, call me daddy when I'm fucking you, because there is more to the culture of play that they do than just call me daddy in the moment type thing. All right, then we have Come to Daddy by Brianna Hale. This is a sugar baby, sugar daddy romance. It's also a little bit included in some mafia stuff. So our heroine, she needs money to, like, I think finish school. And now our hero, he, as I said, he has a legit business, but there's also like ties to the mafia that they have. And he feels responsible for the reason that her family doesn't have money anymore. And so he wants to find a way to like give her money without her knowing. It's a very complicated setup for this one, even though like I really love this once it gets going. And so one of her friends convinces her to try being a sugar baby, and that, and then I can't remember exactly how, but his assistant ends up, I think she's like looking into this woman and discovers that she's on this sugar baby website. And then the assistant who is trying to help him be able to give this woman money is like, oh, well, maybe you should try being her sugar daddy. Sorry, that's bothering me. Maybe you should sign up to be her sugar daddy, and then you could give her money and also get to know her. So that's not going to be complicated at all. This book and the next book in this series, which the next one is also kinky, but it's not daddy kink, are my favorite Brianna Hale, besides Ringmaster. I mean, Ringmaster's just delightful. But anyway, highly recommend this one. Then there is Act Your Age by Eve Dangerfield. This one is also a bit of DDLG, but it actually is a woman who is like looking for the setup. So I believe these two like meet online and then begin that relationship, a consensual one. So there isn't too much to say about this one. It was good. It was very interesting. She also has a very specific fantasy she likes to play out though. So like there's also a lot of role play beyond just like the daddy king part of it, because she actually likes there to be certain scenarios that they will act out where he's pretending to be like mad at her, or he pretends to be like her stepdad. So there's some really fun like dirty role play that happens as well. Then we have Devram's Court by Brianna Hale. Sorry, I have those written at different places. I could have talked about these at the same time. But this one is an extreme age gap. I believe the heroine is 18 and the hero is in his 50s. So this is a really big age gap. It's probably one of the biggest ones that I've read. Well, I've read one other one that's bigger, but not that was Daddy Kink. So yeah, this one again, not my favorite on this list. This series that Brianna Hale was trying to do, like it's actually a series that's got paused because it's not her reader's favorite series, but I didn't hate this. This was actually renamed. It used to be called Devrim's Discipline, and she had to retitle it because it like wasn't allowed. So it's called Devram's Court now. But I actually have an arc on my Kindle where it was called Devrim's Discipline. So this is set in kind of this weird world that it's kind of like an alternate place, but mostly just because of the political setup. So he was actually in prison for a very long time because of something her family had done, and now he's out and he's back, and she has become friends with his daughter, and he thinks that she's trying to worm her way into his family, and really it's just that she became friends with his daughter. So when he catches her in his house one day, even though like she's been invited by his daughter, he decides to punish her, and she ends up liking it just a little bit too much. And so things get spicy. Then we have Daddy's Angel by K.A. Knight. This one is a boyfriend's dad romance, okay? There is kind of skirting the line of cheating in this one. And actually the fantasy of cheating is a big part of their like play in the beginning of it. But you know, if you loved Your Dad Will Do, this is just a more expanded version of Your Dad Will Do, and not quite as good as Katie Robert does it, but you know, it was still really good. This girl is dating this guy's son. He's not very nice to her, and when they break up, she's already kind of having feelings for the dad before they break up. But they do break up, I believe, before they first sleep together. And then he calls her Angel, and she ends up calling him Daddy. And there we go. So this was a fun one. I had a good time. I had a good time with this one. K.A. Knight, who you maybe most know her for writing Den of Vipers, she has some very interesting different kinds of kink in her books. So this one was fun. And then the last one I want to mention, which is one of them like more like heartwarming ones in this list actually, is Little Dove by Layla Frost. So this is a mafia one. This is a standalone, which is cool. Our heroine, her father got into some trouble with the mafia. Her father gets whacked. She's only 17. Our hero, who is the one who killed her dad, she basically becomes his ward. So this becomes like a guardian ward thing. Unofficial, of course, because no court in the land, you know, assigned her to him. And so she moves into his home. And for a year, nothing happens between them because she's 17. He literally takes care of her, makes sure she goes to school, makes sure she's fed, makes sure she's healthy, happy, all these things. Once she's over 18, he makes his interest in her known. And I love how it's done in this book. Honestly, I love it so much. Because he makes his interest known and he's like, yeah, I kind of have a raging boner for you. No, I'm just kidding. He's like, I would like to be your daddy. And in this way that I would like to be your daddy. So it's a bit of like the relationship they have is definitely like a dom sub setup, but with like daddy kink in it, because he wants to, you know, really do the caretaking aspects of things. So, you know, he wants to see her be fed and see her be clothed and then order her around a little bit, and they have their sexy time. So I feel like this is also a very good book. I know it's coming in at the end, but to me, this was a very good book as like an intro to daddy kink kind of thing, because rules are set up very clearly. There are definitely safe words, there are definitely outs. So even though this one is for the age wise, or like the taboo-ness of like a guardian ward, her being 17 when they first meet and everything, it isn't that taboo at all. It's only really the daddy aspect and the age gap that makes it that way. And again, I feel like the way he goes about it with her, it doesn't feel wrong in any sense. So, I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably don't care. But I'm just saying, if you were curious about the video and you don't know where to start with my recommendations I've given, I do highly recommend that one, because it's a good like explanation. I also do recommend the Bratva's Heir, because they are both definitely like, there's no taboo-ness for like what their ages are, because she's in her like mid-20s and he's in his 30s, so it's not this huge jump, whereas some of these other ones have some pretty severe age gaps in there. And not that you always have to have an age gap for daddy kink. I just believe that's how we usually see this dynamic play out. So anyway, there you go. There are some of my recommendations for daddy kink. Let me know what your favorites are down below. I definitely didn't put every book I've ever read with daddy kink. These were just the ones that stood out to me and that I could remember them the most. So let us know if you have recommendations for this. That's the place to go for more. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.